Listen, if your representative is not doing a town hall, give me a ring. I mean, I don't know if an R plus 25 district would have me, but I'm always willing to be proven wrong. And I mean, I'll say it right here, right now. If a deep red Republican district wants to have an honest conversation, even if it's with someone they disagree with, I'm willing to do that. You know, I'm willing to meet with Republicans and just, you know, be honest about where I stand, where they stand. We can explain, you know, and understand each other better. But I definitely think it creates a vacuum. And even if it's not a Democratic member, people can host community town halls. You don't need a member of Congress to host a town hall, and just host one without them.
So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is leaning in here to something I've heard a lot of feedback from people. I have Democrats reaching out to me, and the Democrat voters around here don't ever reach out to me. They don't even know I exist in some cases. But they all, from all over the region, are saying, why aren't these Republicans, very strong Republicans, showing up to do town halls? Is this a playbook? Is this a Democrat playbook? Why does AOC want to come to an R plus 25 district somewhere else and have a chat? I guess the Democrats are trying to figure out something to combat President Trump. Let's ask Hogan Gidley about it. Of course, America First Policy Institute's senior advisor for communications, a former national press secretary for the Trump campaign. Hogan, welcome back to the show. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Great to be with you, Annie. Appreciate the time.
Well, let me ask you this question. I don't know if you've heard about these town halls, a lot of hubbub, a very organized fashion of Democrats wanting to push back against Republican representatives, and the town hall seems to be the locale to do it. What do you think about this effort on the Democrats? Is this a winning strategy for them?
No, the Democrats are flailing around, no question about it. But understand, this isn't because the Democrats have bad messaging. It's because they have bad policy. You cannot sell a bad product. All you have to do is ask Kamala Harris about that. And what Democrats have continued to do is double and triple down on open borders. They don't want violent criminal gang members from Trinidad and Tobago to be sent back to their country of origin. They want them to stay here. They don't care if there are wars breaking out all over the world because, after all, if Trump tries to fix it, then for some reason they side for the war to keep going, which makes no sense. They don't care about crime. They don't care about paying more for gas and groceries. If they did, they'd have done something about it. So they have doubled down on men and women's sports. All the policies in the 80-20 realm, they take the 20%. They do not understand. It's not their messaging. You can talk about it all you want to. The American people just rejected all of those policies in the last election, and they're still doubling down on it. That's their problem. And so while they go around and try and say Republicans don't do town halls, of course Republicans do town halls. They're just trying to troll a little bit. The problem is AOC, she's fine being proven wrong. Yeah, right. She's proven wrong every single day, and she doesn't show her face all that much either when you consider all the problems and the significant failures of the Democrat Party.
Yeah. We're speaking with Hogan Gidley right now. In my estimation, the Democrats are constantly trying to figure out, how do I fight Trump? How do we fight back against Donald Trump? And forgetting that Americans just sent Donald Trump to do what he's doing right now. He was very clear, very explicit about what he was going to do if elected. And they said, yep, we choose that. So essentially the Democrats are fighting against the American people. And all they see is Orange Man bad still. And they're losing now more than they ever have. At least it appears so.
It's such a great point because that's their main concern. It's their hatred for Trump seems to outweigh their love for America. And you see that all of the time because they continue to talk about Trump instead of the policies, instead of how they could work with him and then end up taking some of those for their own and try and claim their own victories. It's just the same playbook as it was from before. Everything he does, everything he says is just bad and it's wrong. The problem, as you just point out, is that the American people overwhelmingly voted for that. They want the change. They want the disruption in the federal government. They know the status quo has been failing us, and Democrats are on the side of the failing status quo. Talking to a guy just the other day on the left about the Department of Education. He was asking if I condone firing half of the people in the Department of Education. My answer, of course, was yes. You're on the wrong side of that, too. Our children in this country can't read. They can't do math. And here you are defending the very ones that have failed our kids. Wrong side again, regardless of the issue. They just don't understand where the American people are.
Yeah, and that's why they continue to lose at it. I mean, we're speaking to you, Hogan, and you're with the America First Policy Institute. And Donald Trump's message, it seems like it's always tethered back to that America First mentality. I've seen Carolyn Levitt. I'd love to get your thoughts on this as somebody who's worked in communications in the White House. You know, the other day, Carolyn Levitt's asked about the Statue of Liberty, and she just comes right back and says, the French would be talking German if it weren't for us. Next question, essentially. And that's a little abrupt. I mean, going back to the Corinne Jean-Pierre days, you know, flip to the page in the binder, say we've been clear on this, and then be completely unclear. There's a fearlessness even on top of the America First attitude that the Trump administration has had. Do you feel as though their communication style is being successful now with the American people?
It is, and it is so much different. Remember, the first time around, we had to contend with lies about Russia collusion and bombshell reports every single day that weren't true. They went after all of us staffers personally, who they were dating, their marriages, all these types of things we had to defend as well. You know, Donald Trump learned a lot of lessons from that first time around, and it's trite, but it's true. And hindsight is 2020. And so when you go back into a job, having done it once before, you're going to do things differently. You're going to do things better. He is doing those right now in real time. You're watching a man who has the wind at his back, a mandate from the American people. He knows they want the policies he offered. Remember, this is so much different than 2016, the election. This guy survived the Democrats trying to take him off the ballot, trying to throw him in jail, raiding his home, going through his wife's underwear drawer, mug shots, countless indictments, not one but two assassination attempts, not one but two presidential candidate opponents he had to fight. He comes back and wins in historic fashion. Of course he's relaxed. Of course he understands he doesn't have another race to run. So he's going to do things a little differently. And there is no doubt that sentiment and that feeling is permeating that White House. People there understand it. That's what they like, and that's what they're gravitating toward and rallying around. So when you see people out on television or behind that podium, whether it's Caroline Levitt, Stephen Miller, Kevin Hassett, any of the cabinet secretaries, they're relaxed because they know the American people want them to do the job they're doing.
Hogan Gidley speaking with us right now. I'm always amazed at the president's ability to juggle all of the things that he's trying to do. We are less than 2 months into his administration, and we were just talking on the show earlier, like, let's just talk about the things we remember Joe Biden standing on when it comes to the Ukraine-Russia war. And we couldn't really come up with a whole bunch other than send our taxpayer dollars over there and don't do it, keep it a minor incursion. And we're less than 2 months in, and today Donald Trump's on the phone with Vladimir Putin after successfully negotiating with Zelensky in Ukraine for peace. How does Donald Trump do all of it at the same time?
Well, that's interesting, too, because you're absolutely right. The chronological order of that, Biden said a minor incursion was okay. And then when Putin does exactly what Biden says is okay, then all of a sudden his response is not diplomacy, not an off-ramp, not here's how we're going to fix it, but to say publicly, we'll give you money, Vladimir Zelensky, quote unquote, as long as it takes. What does that mean? With no discernible receipts for the American people? Where's this money going? What are you using it on? We're funding this. What are we getting in return? None of that. Donald Trump has a different mentality. Remember, there was peace around the world the first time around, in the Middle East of all places. Now he's come in just a short time, brought Vladimir Putin to the table to have a discussion, brought Zelensky to the table to have a discussion to try and figure out how exactly to get this deal done. And I'm telling you, as it still seems kind of a ways off, sooner or later, this thing hopefully was going to come to an end. And the only person that can even come close to doing it is Donald Trump.
Yeah, I'm very strongly waiting that moment when that peace is fully negotiated. We'll see who here in America, people who are Americans, people who are in our American elected offices, who try to criticize Donald Trump for having a conversation with Vladimir Putin that ends a war, that achieves peace, and they're going to use it as a negative against him because he had a conversation with Donald Trump. Apparently, they need this war to continue for some reason. I'm looking forward to finding out why.
No question. The American people, though, don't want it to continue. The bloodshed they want to stop. They want it to stop all over the world. And Democrats have allowed this thing to continue, again, offering no solution for peace whatsoever at all. Just more money, just more taxpayer dollars, just more treasure, and not selling it to the American people as to why that was important. So these are the types of things Donald Trump is going to put an end to. And he can because he did it the first time around. Now, as we just were talking about, though, with the mandate in hand and with people in these offices, in these cabinet secretary positions, who are not just well experienced to do the jobs they've been asked to do, they also are good on TV, so they can sell it and continue to remind the American people why it's good that we're doing all of these things. That, too, is a major difference this time from last time around.
Yeah, so true. The messaging has been on point. Hogan, we appreciate you. Thank you for the time this afternoon. It's always good to have you here.
Anytime. Thanks so much.
Take care. Bye-bye. Hogan Gidley, America First Policy Institute Senior Advisor for Communications, former National Press Secretary for the Trump campaign. He was on the front lines of everything that was taking place in the first administration.